Hello, in our previous videos we discussed about the hooks and the test configs or the test annotations with both Cypress and Playwright quickly, but this time in this video let's a little bit focus more on these topics and practically let's see how they work. So starting with Cypress, I have a spec file here. So I want to add some global hooks. So for that purpose I have a support file under the default installation folder. So let me find it. It was E2E TypeScript file here. So I can just add some hooks here. As we all know, the hooks can be before or before each and after each. So before executes before all the before suites, and before each executes before each individual test case. So let's add both them here, starting with before. Let's just do some prints here to see at least the execution order. So this is my global before, right? Cool. Let's do the same for the before each. Okay, should already work. Let's see. I'll go with open mode to execute with Cypress runner. Of course, we have to type correctly, otherwise we can have some issues. And now I have the runner here. I'll go with Electron browser. I select my Playground Cypress file. And in my console, I see global before each. Oh, I have another one here, so I will come to this point later. So let me execute again. Global before and global before each. So first global before and then before each. And of course, since I have only one test, the before each will execute only once. But if I have another test here, only an empty test, nothing inside, what happens now is I will have two before each executing for each test case. Cool. But this is not everything I can do. I can even structure my hooks in a nested way, which means inside my spec file, this is what I had in my last execution. So I can even define a before or before each hook here. So let me for now just add before each, so we will already see how it works. What is this one? This is my spec file before each. What happens now? Let me open my runner. Now I see global before each, spec file before each. So this is for the first test. And for the second, first global, then spec file. But still further, because inside the same file, I can have more than one suite, right? More than one describe block. So inside it, still I can define some more hooks, like let's say the before each here. What is it now? This is my suite hook, right? Suite before each. And now I expect it to execute last. Yes. So before, and then for the first test, before global before each, spec file before each, and suite before each. Sweet. So this is all I have. But these are the hooks. So I want to talk about the test configs as well. So here I have the test itself. And the second argument that I can pass to my execution is the config. As of now, I don't have anything. In my previous videos, I talked about this. I guess it was an older version. And at that time, we can access to the test configs by calling this .current test .test config. But now I'm using a newer version of Cypress, so it will be a little bit different. So let's see how it works. I will add just a custom test config here. So let me just name as, this is my config. And I'll explain why I'm introducing this test configs, because normally I have some global configs, right? But if I want to manage each test case individually, sometimes some of them I may skip even inside the execution, right? Because normally I can select the test scope by passing some arguments, by passing the spec file parameters. But even if I select the suite, if I want to conditionally skip some of them, at that point, I can use this test config. Let's see. First of all, let me pass some values here. This is my skip condition, for example. What can it be? For example, there may be a known bug, right? I already know that this test will fail because I have a known issue. There's an open bug. So until it is fixed, I can add such a test config here. And for the second test, I can add like, this will pass, or this will execute. I don't know if it will pass or fail, but at least let it execute. Cool. Now how I can use it, I want to skip even before starting the test, right? So I can add some conditions here. So how I will do that is, I will access to that test config by calling the Cypress config by the key. By the way, let me get rid of these hooks. I don't need them anymore, just to ease the execution. Okay, I have only one hook, and I'll do the conditional check here. I guess I already know what to do, but just to see, let's observe it, right? So let me add a breakpoint here. Okay, now I'll open my debugger. Okay, cool. I can check all the variables here. So what I wanted to do is, I want to read the Cypress config object. Okay, so this is the function. I can already understand that. I can already pass some keys to this function, and then I can execute. Okay, let's try. Cypress config. What's my key again? My config. My config. Again, we have to type correctly, otherwise we can have issues. Yes, I could access to my config with the correct key and of course with the correct function name, and I read my value over there. So I can use it in this way. So let me try. I don't need debug anymore. What was it? It was something like this, right? Okay. What is my condition? If it is, oops. If it is skip condition, then please skip. But please skip what? Please skip the current test, right? Which is executing now, because in this suite I have two of them. I want to skip only this one, which is running. While it is running, it will visit this BeforeEach. And at this time, the current test, if it is meeting this condition, then I want to skip, otherwise not. So somehow I have to access to current test. So the way to do it in Cypress is by getting the current context, and then I will skip. So the way to do that is just get the runner over Mocha test framework, and from the suite I can access to context. All right. So I want to skip this one. Yes, I can already see the method is there. Let's see what happens now. Let me open my runner. By the way, it stopped in debug in the previous execution. So after that, I already changed my code. So let me stop this and start it over. Now it already completes, and I can see the first is skipped and the second already passed. By the way, I don't know if I can zoom into this runner screen. Yes, I can. Yes. Cool. So now it can be more visible. So this is skipped and this is executed and it passed as expected. There's nothing is there, right? Otherwise it would be interesting. Cool. So let's try the same for Playwright. So let me just switch to my Playwright file here. Okay, again, I have only an empty test. And what will we do first? The global hook, right? Cool. So in Playwright, what I can do is I can just add or create a new file here under my playground folder. This is my global hook file for Playwright. Okay, now I can add my hooks here in this file. So it will be something like test dot before all. In Cypress it was named as before. In Playwright it is before all. So for suite it is before and before all. For tests, individual test cases, in both it is named with before each. So it has a common name. But for suite it's before all. So let's just define it here. This is my Playwright before all. Let's do same for BeforeEach. Nice. They are not resolved because test is which test? It is Playwright test, right? So let's import, otherwise there might be some confusions. Let's import from Playwright. Yes. Now they are resolved. Nice. Sweet. Let's execute our test. What is my file? Playwright .ts. Yes. Okay, one test is running, but I don't see anything in my console, right? Because I defined some global hooks. It is inside this file, but this file and the test is not connected, right? So what I have to do is only import the file that I created to define my hooks, nothing else. So let's just import that. Actually, I will import the whole file, not the function. So I'll just call the file, which will be actually in the current file, right? What is it? Global hooks. Yes. How about now? Yay, I see my console prints here. First, again, before all, and then before each. If I have more than one test, again, similarly, I will have the before each function executed more than once for each individual test case. Very nice. Now again, let's do the same as we do in Cypress, which was defining some test configs, right? In Playwright, it is called as test annotations. So what I can do is, for example, let me go to BeforeEach. Now I have to pass some annotation from BeforeEach to inside the test. So what I can do here is I can just use the test info, and from that I can see the annotations, and I will introduce a new annotation here. Okay, push something inside. What should be a type and a description. All right, let's define them. Where is the type? It is my annotation type. And where is description? I guess description is optional, but anyways, let's define that. This is my description. All right. So now I should be able to use it inside test case. Let's see. So it is tests info and annotations, right? So I pushed one annotation, so I will just read the first index, and then I will use the description, for example. Let's see how it works. Very nice. I see my description in my console here. And let's do the other way around, right? Sometimes we have to use the test annotation inside the before each, like even before starting the test case, sometimes we need to read the annotation. So what I can do here is like test dot info. I have already the title in my test, right? It is here, something like sample test. Okay. So, for example, I can add some specific ID or any descriptive string here, like if I put skip and let's first print out. Yes, I can see it's skip here. So if this string has the skip substring, then I can skip this test. So this is already the way to pass my test metadata from before hook to inside the test, or the other way around, from test metadata to the before all or before each hooks in Playwright. Let me just do it. So I wanna have a condition here. What would be like if the test title has a specific substring that I use to skip the some of the tests, which was skip string, then just skip. Let's see. Yeah, I see it is skipped, and if the condition is not met, like if I want to see another substring inside the title, then since this test did not meet that condition, it is not skipped and it is passed. So these were the usage of global hooks and of course the local hooks in a nested way, and using the test specific configs or annotations in Cypress and Playwright.